Hello and welcome to another episode of the AutoTrader Podcast. My name is Wandile Sishi.
And I'm George Mienie.
And we've got a super interesting episode for you guys today. And I think we'll kick off by maybe asking you a few things, George. And that's the first thing. Did you first hear about the Wandile gas explosion that just recently happened? I think it was yesterday or something.
I think if you haven't heard about the gas explosion in the CBD or in the city of Joburg, you've been sleeping under a rock.
Yeah, everyone's kind of, if you have WhatsApp, I think you can't escape, everyone's sending you videos or scenes or kind of what's happening that side.
What was funny is I saw this video of a guy in one of the high-rise buildings next to where the road is cracked, telling everybody there's an earthquake.
Yeah. I've seen different angles. I actually haven't seen like a video of the actual explosion. If there was even an explosion,
I don't think there was. I haven't seen one, but I don't think there was. 'Cause, that explosion would have happened without people kind of premeditating pulling out their phones.
Exactly. It seems like what happened was, I read a report. I think Wandile Gas was busy because everyone put the blame on them. But they're saying that no, there was actually a crack in the road that kind of got a little bit out of control, and that
a crack got out of control.
Yeah, almost like a landslide that caused like I don't know, like a crack inside the road, which then damaged the gas line or whatever, the pipelines underground.
Interesting.
But they're still investigating. I think there's still lots going on there. I know that they've already been on site to kind of eradicate any leaks to make sure that it's safe.
Did you see the crack in that road?
It's massive.
It is like there's some minibus taxis lying on their side.
How?
It was like that must have been like.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the talk of the town. So that's what's happening right now in South Africa. But more so,
anybody hurt?
It seems like there was only one casualty.
Okay. Casualty as in a death or
as a direct result. A few people injured. But I think they've kind of cornered it off already and are doing work there.
Interesting.
I wonder how long it's going to take to fix. That's what's going
to... that road's going to have to be cordoned off. The problem is I think it's quite a main thoroughfaugh.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the minibus taxis use that road. Exactly. That's why there were so many there.
Near where I stay, I live in the west of Johannesburg. Don't stalk me. But in that area,
nobody wants to go there. So
don't worry, no one wants to go there anyways. There's a bridge that's been. It was about a year ago. There was a bridge that when there was heavy rains sometime during last year. And there was a landslide that took out one of the main bridges on Hendrik Potgieter. And on Hendrik Potgieter, that's one of the main roads.
Say that again.
Hendrik Potgieter. It's one of the main roads from the west side of Joburg and, that side of life coming into the mainland city. And the repair time that we've been given is 8 months to fix that, which is ridiculous. So now all the traffic is being diverted on the road, which is directly outside of my complex. So the traffic there is now a nightmare, but 8 months to fix
You tell me you're going to be late for the podcast.
Sometimes I have to, call in a favor to come into work because, it's really bad. And I hope they don't have to wait 8 months. That's a really, really important road.
Yeah, I've got no expertise on repairing infrastructure, but I would imagine with the state of the current electricity system, the state of the current water infrastructure, that an extra thing for governments and municipalities to do is just going to be put down on the list.
It's like a domino effect of compounding inconveniences that we're all kind of going through. I had no water for 3 days.
They can't repair potholes.
Yeah.
You're going to repair a crack in the road.
Yeah, it's tough. You never know. Maybe there's different. I don't know.
This crack in the road might be important in terms of helping that economic environment of transport and taxis. But it remains to be seen. I'm not optimistic.
Yeah.
The state of the roads in the country are bad.
Yeah. No, let's see. I think we'll keep updating. We'll update it like every month and see if the road on Bree Street has been fixed.
Yeah. If you drive a sports car in South Africa, put it in a glass cabinet.
Yeah. Just show your friends. That's all you can do. Or brings fresh for motoring, which we'll talk about a bit later. But moving on. So today we'll be speaking a little bit on extreme weather. So I can't believe we've been discussing this, to be honest. I never thought that like 10 years ago that we'll be speaking about extreme weather. But, last week, I think that's when we had the snow.
Yeah, so the weatherman.
Yeah.
Please find me the weatherman.
Mm-hmm.
But the weatherman, or the weathermen, the weather people.
The weather people.
The weather people. Because there's weathermen and weather women. The weather people. If you go back, it snows in Joburg every 10 years, apparently.
Oh, so this is something that
always happens.
Okay.
Yeah, about every decade. It snows in Johannesburg. So it's not uncalled for. It's apparently snowing today as we're recording this.
Yeah.
It's snowing in the Free State.
Yeah. But, I mean, near the Drakensberg, there is every now and then.
But that's high. I mean, top of mountains are always going to get snow.
Some sort of snow,
Yeah. But down on the, lowland, that's not normal for South Africa. But it's every 10 years.
Climate change when I was growing up was, I think, extreme heat was kind of the main talk of the town. But now we're getting like extreme cold is never like kind of.
I don't know if this is climate change. I'm not no expert, but
yeah,
I think it's just the cycles.
I think it's climate change.
No,
I mean,
we must.
This is 2 weeks in a row now where we're receiving snow.
If the Earth pivots, like literally half a degree off its axis,
we're gonna get some sort of.
We'll get some sort of flipping extreme weather.
Yeah. So extreme weather was the kind of the talk of in Joburg, at least. I think actually around the country, in terms of the snowfall. But that had obviously a direct impact on the driving conditions of the city. And I was fortunate to be at home at the time, so I never got to experience driving on snow or dealing with like some sort of.
Well, it's more the ice that's the problem because you can slip off the road.
So were you in the office that day when
it was snowing?
Yeah, when it was snowing. Did you have to drive at all?
No. It was actually a work from home day for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to deal with kind of driving around and.
No.
And have you ever experienced driving on snow?
On snow, no.
In icy conditions?
Never. Icy conditions, yeah, but that's more like sleet. But never experienced a slippery road from ice.
The weatherman has actually said that it's going to be more frequent. We are going to be receiving a lot more frequent
this year.
So with that being said, I thought maybe we should talk about what to do when dealing with, driving on icy roads, and potentially what impact this has on your insurance. Because I think, people are going to be in more accidents. So driving on icy roads, the first thing is kind of
let's talk about the effect on a car.
What? Just the physical
of a car, not necessarily just the physical structure, but what effect does freezing cold temperatures? What effect does it have on a car?
Well, the car will run cold. That's the first thing, right? So it's going to be colder.
Well, first of all, when the car's standing, and the temperature drops, all of the oil. Now we're talking about ice vehicles here. We'll talk about electric in a second. All of the oil that would be circulating through the engine to lubricate the pistons and crankshaft and bearings.
Yeah.
All of that oil will be lying at the bottom, either at the sump or at the bottom of the engine block. Okay. That oil is going to cool down to below zero.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I don't
think oil freezes at zero.
No, don't think it freezes at zero. So temp that oil freezes. So if oil freezes at -4.
Yeah.
Okay. So it coagulates. So oil can't technically freeze, but it coagulates at -4.
Like slumpy and like not like thick.
Thick, So the thinner the oil, the less likely the clumpiness. Okay, so that's the thing you're going to be faced. I think that's probably the major concern in a car is the oil getting that kind of thickness. Now, you start your car in that kind of temperature, -4, -5 degrees, and you drive it out your driveway and drive it a little bit too hard, you can break the engine. because that oil hasn't had a chance to thin, get hot, and lubricate everything. Yeah. So that's the first effect, I think, that you've got to concern yourself with. The next is the coolant system in the car.
I was going to go there next, yeah.
So the coolant system in the car, that's why we have this thing called antifreeze.
Exactly that, yeah. It's kind of stop that from happening.
Because water is going to freeze at 0, right?
So essentially at that point, all your defrosting equipment, all your heating equipment, all that sort of stuff won't operate at the the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you're worried about the heater as much as...
You gotta have heat.
you gotta worry more about the car operating.
Yeah, I gotta have heat.
So water's going to freeze at 0.
Yeah.
Okay, so before the oil even gets sludgy, the water's going to freeze. So if you are driving an older car and you haven't got antifreeze in the system, that water has to first thaw and unfreeze before it's going to start circulating, which means that your car could get hot initially. But the chances are that because of the engine bay temperature
and the outside temperature,
the engine bay temperature being the pistons are moving, it's generating heat. Chances are the water's gonna thaw. It's gonna get liquid again.
What about an EV? How does this extreme cold weather impact an EV? Is there an impact on EVs?
Yes. So EVs don't like cold.
Okay.
The battery doesn't like cold, should I say?
Yeah.
The lithium battery.
In terms of when you say that,
it's a chemical reaction.
It impacts distance in terms of the range.
So range will come down on an EV. I drove through the Free State about a month ago, and it was that cold snap we had.
Yeah.
And the temperature got to about 2-3 degrees. It was really low. The car warned me, low temperature.
Oh, okay.
I didn't really see an impact on the battery.
Yeah, like your range and stuff.
Because I mean, the way I drive my EV is, I've started to just drive it instead of kind of calculating the kilowatt hours and distance. And I just want to drive to the next charger. That's all, and get there efficiently. But the temperature was really low, and the effect on an EV of freezing temperatures is lower range. So the EV's battery, the lithium ion, doesn't like extreme temperatures, both low and high.
Would you say it's like substantial, or like 10%, 20% less range? Like, what would you? I mean, obviously we don't have the numbers on this, but like, what do you?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure Google will tell us. That's why you see the Teslas and all of them testing in the ice.
Yeah, just to make sure that they can also function.
So testing how the car functions in really cold temperatures, because cold is probably worse than heat.
Yeah.
So car can cool itself down.
Yeah.
Whereas cold is it's tough.
Okay. Okay. I mean, there's other things to worry about when you're driving in colder weather. So one thing is your braking is obviously going to be impacted quite substantially, especially when the road gets extremely cold and starts getting icy. So just watch out for your braking then. Brake gently, avoid skidding. I've had this problem so many times, but it's usually on water. And that might be a tire problem. Maybe I need to check my tires. I don't know. But
aquaplaning is more the problem in water. But I just looked up impact of an EV battery and range when there is cold weather, up to 25%.
Okay, but that must be extreme cold weather. I'm sure that's not what we're dealing with.
Well, I think 2 degrees is very cold. Yeah, but I suppose in countries like north of the equator, Canada, Russia, those countries,
that 25% is seen, and
it says up to 50%.
Oh, okay, jeez.
You're going to get to minus 40 degrees. It's going to be hectic.
100%. Other things to worry about: cruise control. Doesn't really do well with icy roads, so I did not know that. So that's something to obviously look out for. And then the big.
What about cruise control?
So do not make use of cruise control on icy roads. I don't know. I'd love to understand what's the science behind that, but the research tells us that cruise control doesn't do great with icy roads specifically. I would imagine the car is not as effective at reading for traction control, for instance. I can imagine it's kind of along those lines of skidding. I would think.
Yeah, I mean, if I think about all the cars I've driven with cruise control, I think the reaction time of the car isn't quite the same as the reaction time of a human.
Yeah.
And
Specifically
maybe,
when you're losing traction. I think
and maybe that's the difference. Is so another very important thing, whether this be in water or on ice, is stay away from the brakes.
So I learned that the hard way.
How did you learn that the hard way?
Well, I've gotten better with it over the years, but I've noticed that, I mean, one time I was driving in a bucky at the time, and I was going on one of those like roundabout things on the highway, and I was going a little bit too fast, and I was turning at the same time. So you can imagine that the car just started to move. And I played a lot of video games, and don't quote me on this, but the video game told me that don't use the brake at that point. Just kind of let the car figure out and get grip again, and then slowly let it gradually go into the turn, and that saved the car and potentially my life. So
good on, I'm glad you. No, it's so the moment you apply the brake pedal, on a icy road or in water where you could aquaplane. Because what is aquaplaning? It's when there is a layer of water between the tire and the surface of the road. And you're skidding on top of the water. It's almost like you're surfing. Kind of
like a boat. The car becomes a boat.
The car becomes a boat. There's no more contact with the rubber in the road. And applying the brake could set that in motion. Could set that aquaplaning or that skidding in motion. And then to stop that.
And that's because the tires are constantly removing water, right?
Yes.
Off the road. So so that you can get that traction.
Exactly. And the moment that starts, very difficult to stop. So be careful with the brakes when it comes to icy roads or standing water.
At speed, I mean, I'm assuming that at speed that becomes a lot more viable or likely to happen.
Okay, so let's talk about speed. What happens when you increase or accelerate or increase your speed?
In terms of how the tires react to the...
Yes. What happens?
I don't know.
We'll do a quick explainer.
I would assume that there's more surface area. No,
less surface area. So the surface area that's touching the road, depending on the size of the tire, surface area that's touching the road, typically is about the size of your hand. Okay. So you've got four
at any given time
hands that are touching the road. That's the surface area that your car touches the road, or the area that your car touches the road with. The faster you drive, the tire initially, the more of the surface is touching the road. The tire, because of the centrifugal force, is trying to expand out, because the centrifugal force is pushing the middle of the tire out. Now, tire manufacturers are very clever in that they build the tire in a way that tries to stop that. With all of the internal systems inside the rubber. Inside the rubber, you'll find wire.
But that's what I thought it would actually expand.
No.
Like this way.
No. Centrifugal force. The center is trying to expand out.
I see.
It's the same as the Earth rotating, right?
Forcing itself this way.
Yes. If you live on the equator, believe it or not, from cars to the planet. If you're living on the equator, you're moving faster. You're actually spinning faster. There's more likelihood of you falling off Earth if you live on the equator than if you live...
If the Earth had to just stop, you'd be like
exactly.
Flying out.
So the same thing with the tire. The center of the tire is where the centrifugal force is on that tire. And that part is trying to expand, which pushes more of the tire off the road. Which means that the faster you go, a higher chance there is of less rubber touching the road.
I see.
And that increases your chances of aquaplaning.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
So driving slower in water and on icy roads is better.
And safer.
And then the faster the tire's turning as well.
So speed.
So think about it this way: you're driving on a highway with dashed lines, right? The dashed the lines that exist in the roads in South Africa. I know that a lot of them don't exist anymore, but
depends where you are.
Depends where you are. The faster you go, what happens to that white line?
becomes one line.
It looks like it's solid
one line,
because you're passing them so fast,
yeah.
right? So similarly with the tread on your tire, the faster you go, the faster that tread is passing the road, which means that the gaps don't move as much water and higher chance of aquaplaning.
Displacing less water. Understood. See, the more you know. See, this is not just about...
There's an explainer here every week.
Of course. But before we move on, so what does insurers have to say about this? So I've done some research to find out what insurers are saying about the extreme weather. Naturally, extreme weather means more claims. So they've seen about 25% additional claims in the last few crazy months of extreme weather. So there is a direct impact. So just watch out and make sure that you are covered for those sort of things, because not all insurers or your policy might not cover, acts of God or these extreme cases of weather.
How do you define an act of God?
I think this would be an act of God. Something that's out of anyone's control. Snow is definitely an act of God.
Yeah, I don't know too much about this, but, I don't know.
Check with your insurer.
Yeah.
It may be the difference between you getting your claim and not. And moving on, before we end off, George, so at the end of August, we're going back to the Festival of Motoring, which means that we have a bunch of new competitions which are currently live on site. So if you want to win one of, I think it's 20 or 25 Ferrari hot laps, check out our website to see the details for that. They're always extremely fun. It's always
that's exciting.
I think you've actually been on one of those.
Yeah.
So
come and drive in our simulator. We're getting the simulator there, right?
We're bringing the simulator back
so
in.
Formula 1 simulator.
Yeah, we're also bringing in. I wouldn't call it a Formula 1 pit, but it's kind of.
It's the so what we're going to have there is a tire changing challenge. It's not for children. We will not allow children to operate the hydraulic tire gun. But just like in Formula 1,
yes,
we are going to have a pit tire machine there. Yes. And we're going to see how fast the public can change tires.
I've actually done that before, and it was a team. It was a team of like 8 of us, and it took us like 15 seconds or something.
So I've got one of the records at Pablo Clark.
Yeah.
For changing that tire.
Yeah.
So we're gonna put that record up there, and see whether people can beat it.
Yeah. People think that 2 seconds that the F1 teams are doing is easy. It's not.
It's not.
It's the hardest
thing
in the world.
It's very difficult.
So come and join us at our stand. We'll be there the entire week, the weekend, and we'll have lots of exciting challenges. And if you want to join or try and win the competition, just check out our sites, and you'll see all the details there.
Next race is this weekend, right?
Going to Hungary. A lot of things have happened actually in Formula 1. I mean, Nick de Vries has been dropped by
surprise
by what's it called now, by AlphaTauri.
Yeah.
So that's a bit sad. I think he only did 10 races in before he's even.
Yeah, but he wasn't anything to write home about. There's no 8th place trophies yet.
So someone told me that what if he was not slow and
what if he was not slow
and Yuki was just extremely fast? Like, how do you benchmark?
That's unfortunate. You're always against the top guy.
I guess so.
It's like if you are the best and someone else comes along and is better, you're actually bad. Sorry.
That English makes sense.
No.
The logic.
You know what? This world contains too much.
What?
8th place trophies. Too much.
You heard it here first. Sometimes 8th is,
No.
If there's 1,000 people, 8th is not bad. Okay.
There's no 1,000 cars on a racetrack. You're either one or you're not.
So we're gonna.
I'm surprised there's number 2 and 3.
Yeah. No.
No, de Vries wasn't doing well.
Yeah. Well, he's a Formula E champion. So different sports, I guess.
Different sport. Driving an ice vehicle.
Got him some slack.
Driving it. Actually, I'm going to say something against myself. Driving an ice vehicle takes more skill than driving an EV.
Yo, you heard it here first. We're gonna quote that. Please make sure that somebody wrote that down.
You're going to worry about revs in an ice vehicle. You don't have to worry about revs in an EV.
We're going to Hungary this weekend, so let's see what happens. I'm voting for my man. Let's see what happens.
I don't know.
That's all the time we have for today. See you guys next week.
Search AutoTrader.